November 12, 1942. North Atlantic Ocean. Just before dawn. The sea is calm. Too calm. A Liberty ship cuts through the dark water, her deck lights dimmed, hull heavy with tanks, trucks, and ammunition bound for Europe. The crew is tired. They've learned to read the ocean the hard way. Calm water means danger. You can almost feel it. Then it happens. A violent shudder runs through the hull. Steel screams. The ship lurches sideways as a column of water erupts along her flank. Men are thrown from their feet. Lights flicker. Somewhere below deck, steam pipes rupture with a shriek. A torpedo. Someone yells, "U-boat." But it's already too late. War beneath the waves. German submarines rule the Atlantic in 1942. They hunt at night. They strike without warning. They disappear before escorts can react. Convoys burn from horizon to horizon. Flames reflect off the waves as sailors abandon ship into freezing water. Oil spreads across the surface, slick and black, catching fire where debris still floats. For every ship that reaches Europe, another never arrives. And Germany knows it. Admiral Karl Donitz is confident. His U-boats are winning a war of math. Sink ships faster than the enemy can replace them. Starve Britain. Bleed America before its strength can be felt. It's working. The numbers don't lie. By the end of 1942, Allied losses are staggering. Hundreds of merchant ships gone. Millions of tons of cargo lost. Thousands of sailors dead. Shipyards cannot keep up. A Liberty ship takes months to build. Skilled labor is scarce. Designs are traditional. Riveting is slow. Every hull feels like a race already lost before it begins. An American naval officer studies the reports and mutters, "We're fighting submarines with blueprints." Desperation reaches Washington. In Washington, meetings grow tense. Admirals argue with economists. Politicians demand solutions that do not exist yet. The United States has resources, yes, but resources mean nothing if they can't cross the ocean. The question becomes unavoidable. How do you win a war at sea when the enemy destroys ships faster than you can launch them? No one in the room has an answer. Then someone mentions a name. Not an admiral, not a general, a civilian. Henry J. Kaiser. Henry Kaiser is not a shipbuilder. He never served in the Navy. He has no background in maritime engineering. He built roads, dams, and bridges. He built things fast. Very fast. When Kaiser speaks, he does not talk about tradition. He talks about process. He studies shipyards the way others study battlefields. He sees wasted movement, delays, bottlenecks, craftsmen waiting on other craftsmen. To Kaiser, shipbuilding looks outdated, a dangerous idea. Kaiser makes a suggestion that shocks naval experts. Stop building ships the old way. Stop treating each hull as a handcrafted project. Build ships like cars. Standardize everything. Prefabricate sections inland. Weld instead of rivet. Train workers to do one task, perfectly, over and over. Assemble ships like puzzles. The room goes quiet. Someone finally says it. You can't mass-produce ships. Kaiser doesn't argue. He smiles. The gamble. The Navy is skeptical. Shipbuilders are furious. Experienced yard managers insist that welding will crack under stress, that unskilled labor will cause disasters at sea, that speed will sacrifice safety. They are not wrong to worry. But the Atlantic is bleeding ships every single day. Doing nothing is worse. Kaiser is given a chance. A narrow one. The clock starts ticking. Construction begins on new shipyards almost overnight. Not near the ocean alone, inland too. Steel sections are built miles away, then shipped by rail. Workers are trained in days, not years. Women, farmers, mechanics, and teenagers flood the yards. They do not build entire ships. They build pieces. And those pieces begin to pile up. The U-boats keep sinking. While Kaiser builds, German submarines continue their work. Another convoy is hit. Another ship explodes. Another crew disappears beneath the waves. Donitz believes time is on his side. He does not know what is happening in American shipyards. He does not know that the rules of industrial warfare are about to change. Because soon, something unprecedented will happen. Ships will begin launching faster than Germany can sink them. And the balance of the Atlantic will shift forever. Richmond, California. Early 1943. Before sunrise. The shipyard is already awake. Floodlights cut through the coastal fog. Sparks fly as steel meets steel. The air smells of oil, salt, and hot metal. Men and women move with purpose, not chaos. There is a rhythm here, almost musical. This is not how shipbuilding is supposed to look. And that's the point. Breaking a century of tradition. For generations, ships were built the same way. Keel laid first. Frames added slowly. Plates riveted one by one. Thousands of skilled workers, each trained for years, crawling inside hulls with red-hot rivets, every ship unique, every mistake costly. Henry Kaiser looks at this system and sees a bottleneck. Not a necessity. To him, the problem is obvious. You don't build the whole thing in one place, he says. You build it everywhere. The modular revolution. Kaiser's idea is radical. Instead of building a ship from the ground up in one yard, he breaks it into massive sections. Bow, stern, midships blocks. Each section is built separately, simultaneously, sometimes hundreds of miles apart. When they arrive at the dock, cranes lift them into place like giant steel bricks. Welders seal them together. A ship is born. The welding controversy. This is where the experts panic. Rivets, they argue, allow flexibility. Welds will crack. Hulls will fail in heavy seas. Ships will break apart. They have evidence. Early welded ships did crack. Kaiser listens. Then he does something few industrialists would dare. He brings in metallurgists, engineers, scientists. He changes the steel. He changes the welding technique. He changes the design itself. The problem isn't welding. The problem is how welding is done. And once fixed, everything accelerates. Unskilled workers become a weapon. Kaiser does something else that shocks traditionalists. He hires people who have never seen a shipyard before. Farmers, shop clerks, high school graduates, housewives. They are not trained to build ships. They are trained to do one job, one weld, one cut, one inspection. Over and over. Mistakes drop. Speed increases. Productivity explodes. A Navy inspector watches in disbelief as a hull section is completed in hours instead of days. This shouldn't work, he mutters. But it does. Liberty ships multiply. The design chosen is simple. Ugly, some say. Slow. Unremarkable. But strong enough. The Liberty ship is not meant to be elegant. It is meant to exist. To carry cargo. To survive one crossing. To be replaced if sunk. Kaiser embraces this brutally honest philosophy. Ships are expendable, he says. Time is not. Launching like ammunition. Then something unprecedented happens. Ships begin launching faster than anyone imagined possible. One every few weeks. Then one every few days. Then, sometimes two in a single day. Launch ceremonies blur together. Bands play. Champagne breaks. Hulls slide into the water while workers are already assembling the next one behind them. An admiral stares at the numbers and whispers, "My God, we're catching up." Germany has no idea. Across the Atlantic, German U-boat commanders still believe they are winning. Their periscope views show burning ships, survivors in the water, empty horizons after attacks. They log victories. They do not log production rates. They cannot see American shipyards. They cannot imagine what is coming. A race against the ocean. But speed brings pressure. Mistakes slip through. Some ships suffer failures. Critics pounce. Newspapers question safety. Congress demands answers. Kaiser stands firm. Every ship we launch, he says, is one more Germany must sink. And Germany cannot sink them all, because something even more shocking is about to happen. A challenge that will prove, once and for all, that this shortcut works. A ship that will be built not in months, not in weeks, but in days. And when it launches, the war at sea will never feel the same again. Richmond Shipyard No. 2. November 1942. Cold morning air. The clock starts ticking before dawn. Steel plates wait in neat stacks. Prefabricated hull sections sit on rail cars like pieces of a colossal puzzle. Cranes idle overhead, booms raised, cables taut, ready. Henry Kaiser stands off to the side, coat pulled tight, watching. This is not a publicity stunt. This is a proof. The challenge. Kaiser has heard the criticism for months. They're cutting corners. They're unsafe. They can't last. So he decides to answer in the most dangerous way possible, with time. He announces a goal that sounds insane even to his own managers. Build a Liberty ship faster than anyone believes possible. Not weeks. Days. The Navy raises eyebrows. Reporters gather. Skeptics quietly hope he fails. Because if he succeeds, everything changes. Assembly line at sea. The work begins. Cranes swing into motion, lowering massive hull sections into place with precision that looks rehearsed. Welders follow immediately, sparks flying as seams are sealed in long, glowing lines. Nothing stops. Shifts overlap. Workers rotate in and out like parts in a machine. There is no pause for pride, no time for doubt. A welder wipes sweat from her face and moves to the next seam. A foreman checks a stopwatch instead of a clipboard. Someone shouts, "Next section." And it arrives. No room for error. Every mistake matters now. A misaligned plate could cost hours. A failed weld could halt the entire schedule. Inspectors move constantly, checking seams, measuring tolerances, watching closely. They expect failure. Instead, they see discipline. Workers know their single task perfectly. Muscle memory takes over. What once required craftsmen with years of experience is now executed by teams trained for speed and consistency. One inspector mutters to another. They're not building a ship. They're assembling one. The fourth day. On the fourth day, the impossible becomes real. The hull is complete. The superstructure stands. The engine is installed. Paint is still wet. The ship has a name. SS Robert E. Peary. Cameras flash. Reporters stare at their watches in disbelief. 4 days. Not to completion for sea trials. To launch. Into the water. The launch ceremony is brief. There is no orchestra, no speeches. The ship slides down the ways and hits the water with a thunderous splash. She floats. She settles. She does not crack. She does not fail. Cheers erupt. Kaiser allows himself a smile. Because this is not about one ship. This is about scale. The message sent. The message travels fast. Across shipyards. Across industries. Across oceans. If one ship can be built in 4 days, then hundreds can be built in months. And if hundreds can be built, Germany's arithmetic collapses. The U-boat math breaks. German submarines still sink ships. But now, the losses are replaced almost immediately. For every Liberty ship destroyed, 2 more are already sliding into the water. Admiral Donitz studies updated intelligence reports and frowns. Something is wrong. The sinkings are no longer slowing Allied shipping. They are barely denting it. Speed becomes strategy. The United States Navy understands what this means. Escort tactics improve. Radar advances. Convoy protection tightens. And behind it all, the shipyards keep producing. The Liberty ship becomes the background noise of the war. Always there. Always coming. The ocean begins to fill with steel. A new kind of power. Henry Kaiser does not claim victory. He does not talk about beating Germany. He talks about process. War, he says, is an industrial problem. And for the first time, The Allies begin to believe that the Atlantic can be won, not by sinking submarines faster, but by making them irrelevant, because the sea cannot swallow ships faster than America can build them. And the next section reveals how this flood of steel changes everything, not just at sea, but on land, in the air, and on the beaches of Europe, North Atlantic. Mid-1943. Convoy lanes stretching to the horizon. The sea is still dangerous. Waves still rise. Storms still tear at hulls. U-boats still hunt. But something fundamental has changed. Convoys no longer feel thin. They feel endless. From the bridge of an escort destroyer, an American officer scans the grey water and counts silhouettes. 10 ships. 20. 30. And more are coming. The U-boat trap closes. German submarines surface at night expecting easy targets. Instead, they find walls of steel. Convoys are larger now, tighter, better protected. Destroyers circle constantly. Corvettes weave between merchant ships. Aircraft patrol overhead. Their engines a warning that never fades. A U-boat commander peers through his periscope and hesitates. Too many ships. Too many escorts. The math has shifted. Production changes tactics. This is the part no one predicted. Mass production does not just replace losses. It changes behavior. Allied commanders grow bolder. Routes once considered too risky are reopened. Cargoes increase. Supplies flow in quantities never imagined before. If a ship is sunk, another takes its place within days. Fear no longer dictates strategy. Abundance does. Germany's advantage erodes. Admiral Dönitz notices the trend. Sinkings still occur, but the impact is muted. British ports are no longer starving. American supplies pour into Europe. Fuel, tanks, aircraft, food, everything arrives in overwhelming volume. The U-boat war was meant to strangle the Allies. Instead, it is becoming a numbers game Germany cannot win. One German officer admits privately, "We are fighting factories now. Liberty ships as lifelines." The Liberty ship becomes the backbone of Allied logistics. They carry everything. Sherman tanks bound for Normandy. Aircraft engines headed for Britain. Fuel drums stacked deck high. Food enough to feed entire armies. They are slow. They are ungainly. But they never stop coming. A British dock worker watches another Liberty ship unload and laughs bitterly. "We used to pray for ships," he says. "Now we can't unload them fast enough." The cost of speed. Not everything is perfect. Some Liberty ships crack under stress. A few break apart in cold seas. Critics point to these failures as proof that speed has gone too far. Investigations follow. And the truth emerges. The failures are real, but rare. Design tweaks are made. Welding techniques refined. Steel quality improved. Production does not slow. It accelerates. A flood no submarine can stop. By late 1943, the Atlantic looks different. Shipyards launch Liberty ships faster than U-boats can patrol. Convoys stretch for miles. Losses become statistics instead of catastrophes. German submarines begin to suffer instead. Improved sonar. Better depth charges. Relentless air patrols. Now it is the hunters who are hunted. The psychological shift. The biggest change is not on the water. It is in the mind. Allied sailors no longer believe they are doomed. German submariners no longer believe they are unstoppable. Confidence shifts silently, one convoy at a time. A U-boat captain writes in his log, "The ocean has become crowded. Crowded with ships he cannot sink fast enough. Industry wins a battle. Henry Kaiser never visits the Atlantic. He does not need to. His war is fought in shipyards, on assembly lines, in schedules and logistics charts. And that war is being won decisively. Because for the first time, Germany's greatest weapon, the submarine, faces an enemy it cannot torpedo. Time. And production. And the next section shows how this industrial miracle doesn't just supply armies. It makes invasion possible. An invasion that will decide the fate of Europe itself, England. Spring 1944. Along the southern coast. The ports are overflowing. Cranes swing day and night. Trains arrive without pause. Trucks line up bumper to bumper, stretching down roads that were never meant for this kind of traffic. Warehouses spill open, packed with crates stamped with names that repeat again and again. Liberty ship. Liberty ship. Liberty ship. From the air, the coastline looks like a living organism, pulsing with movement. Everything that will soon cross the English Channel is already here. And it is all riding on steel hulls built thousands of miles away. An invasion fed by factories. Planning an invasion of Europe is not about courage. It is about logistics. For every soldier who lands on a beach, there must be food, ammunition, fuel, medical supplies, replacement boots, replacement men. The numbers are terrifying. Millions of tons. And every ton must cross the Atlantic. Years earlier, this would have been impossible. The U-boat threat alone would have made such concentration suicidal. Now it feels inevitable. Liberty ships arrive faster than ports can unload them. Supplies stack up in fields. Tanks wait under camouflage netting. Aircraft parts are assembled inland. An American quartermaster looks at the charts and shakes his head in disbelief. "We're not asking if we can supply this invasion," he says. "We're asking where to put everything." Germany watches, helpless. German intelligence knows something is coming. Reconnaissance flights spot endless shipping. Radio intercepts reveal frantic Allied logistics. Submarines report convoys so large they cannot count them accurately. But there is nothing Germany can do. There are not enough submarines. Not enough fuel. Not enough experienced crews. And even when a convoy is hit, the effect is negligible. A German naval analyst writes grimly, "We sink ships. They replace fleets." Liberty ships at war's edge. The Liberty ships do not stop at Britain. They run supplies into the Mediterranean, into North Africa, into Italy, into the Pacific. They become the arteries of the Allied war effort. Some sail multiple crossings without incident. Others are hit by torpedoes or mines. Crews know the risk. They sail anyway. A merchant sailor writes to his wife, "If they sink me, another ship takes my place tomorrow. That's how this war works now." D-Day's silent partner. When June 6, 1944 arrives, the world watches the beaches. It does not watch the harbours. But without Liberty ships, there is no D-Day. They deliver the landing craft, the fuel, the ammunition, the follow-on divisions. They deliver the ability to keep fighting after the first day. As Allied forces push inland, the supply lines stretch back across the Channel and across the Atlantic. And they hold. A machine that never stops. What makes the Liberty ship program terrifying to Germany is not just its scale. It is its momentum. Shipyards do not slow down after D-Day. They speed up. Even as victory becomes likely, production continues. Losses are still replaced. New fronts are supplied. Henry Kaiser understands something others miss. You do not win a war by slowing down when you are ahead. You win it by never stopping. The human cost, paid quietly. Thousands of merchant sailors die in this process. They are not paraded in newsreels. They do not receive medals in public ceremonies. But they sail through dangerous waters again and again, knowing they are part of something larger than any single ship. A Liberty ship captain, older than most naval officers, puts it simply. If we stop sailing, the war stops. They do not stop. A bridge made of steel. By late 1944, Allied armies pushed toward Germany's borders. Fuel shortages crippled German movements. Ammunition runs low. Airfields are abandoned. Meanwhile, Allied supply lines grow thicker, stronger, unstoppable. The Atlantic is no longer an obstacle. It is a highway, built ship by ship, weld by weld, shortcut by shortcut. And the final section of this story reveals the true legacy of that shortcut, not just in victory, but in how the world learned to fight wars forever. California. Late 1944. A quiet office far from the ocean. Henry J. Kaiser sits at his desk, staring at production charts. They cover the walls. Long columns of numbers, launch dates, tonnage delivered, losses replaced, routes supplied. To most people, it would look like paperwork. To Kaiser, It is a battlefield map. A civilian at war. Kaiser never wears a uniform. He never salutes. He never stands on a bridge in a storm. He never hears a torpedo strike steel beneath his feet. And yet, few men shape the war as profoundly as he does. When asked why he pushes his yards so hard, Kaiser gives a simple answer. Because every delay costs lives. Not soldiers. Sailors. The pressure nobody sees. By late 1944, Liberty ship production has become routine. That does not make it easy. Shipyards run around the clock. Accidents happen. Workers collapse from exhaustion. Labor disputes flare. Steel shortages threaten schedules. Government inspectors demand safety. Admirals demand speed. Politicians demand numbers. Kaiser stands between all of them. He listens. He negotiates. Then he pushes forward anyway, because stopping is not an option. The quiet critics. Not everyone is impressed. Some naval architects still scoff at Liberty ships. They call them crude, disposable, temporary solutions that will not matter after the war. Kaiser does not argue. He does not need to. The ships keep sailing. A new philosophy of war. What Kaiser truly changes is not shipbuilding. It is thinking. Before the war, industry supported war. After Kaiser, industry is war. Speed becomes strategy. Scale becomes protection. Redundancy becomes strength. Lose a ship, replace it. Lose 10, replace them faster. The enemy cannot adapt to this logic, because it is not tactical. It is systemic. Germany's final realization. By 1944, German Naval Command understands the truth. The U-boat campaign has failed. Not because submarines are ineffective, but because the target has become infinite. A German naval memo states it plainly. The enemy's shipbuilding exceeds all expectations. That is an understatement. The human cost revisited. Behind the numbers are people, welders who work 12-hour shifts, women who learn industrial skills overnight, farmers who become foremen, teenagers who grow up inside factories, and sailors who board ships knowing they may not return. Kaiser never forgets them. When a Liberty ship sinks, he reads the report. When a ship launches, he checks the date. For him, every hull has weight. The shortcut becomes doctrine. Other industries copy the model. Aircraft production, tank assembly, ammunition manufacturing. Modular construction spreads across the war economy. America does not just outfight Germany. It outproduces it. And once that happens, the outcome is inevitable. The war nears its end. As Allied armies cross the Rhine, Liberty ships continue to sail. Even as Germany collapses, they keep coming. Because wars do not end cleanly. They end when supply lines remain unbroken long enough for resistance to vanish. Henry Kaiser knows this. He does not slow production. Not yet. The final section will show what happens after the war ends, and why this civilian's shortcut changes the world long after the guns fall silent. United States. 1945. The guns fall silent. Church bells ring across Europe. Newspapers print the same word in massive letters. Victory. Soldiers come home. Factories begin to slow. Shipyards that once glowed all night finally dim their lights. But something important does not stop. The way America builds. An industrial aftershock. When the war ends, Liberty ships are everywhere. Thousands of them. Some sit idle in ports. Some are sold. Some are scrapped. Critics once again point and say, "See, temporary, disposable, crude." But they are missing the point. The Liberty ship was never the achievement. The process was. What Kaiser actually changed. Henry Kaiser does not write memoirs about heroism. He talks about flow, about bottlenecks, about wasted time, about overlapping work instead of waiting. These ideas spread quietly. Factories remember how fast they once moved. Workers remember what coordination feels like. Managers remember that speed is possible. America cannot unlearn this. From war to the world, the same modular thinking reshapes peacetime industry, highways, hospitals, housing developments, factories. Prefabrication becomes normal. Assembly lines grow smarter. Standardization accelerates construction across the nation. The post-war boom is not just economic. It is structural, and it traces a straight line back to wartime shipyards. Germany's missed lesson. Germany had brilliant engineers, but it never fully embraced industrial scale the way America did. Too many bespoke designs. Too many small runs. Too much reliance on perfection instead of volume. After the war, analysts compare notes. The conclusion is uncomfortable. Germany did not lose because it lacked technology. It lost because it could not multiply it. The merchant sailors fade from memory. As peace settles in, the sailors fade first. No parades. No monuments. Few medals. Their ships were tools, not symbols. But historians later realized the truth. Without merchant shipping, there is no modern war. Without liberty ships, there is no Allied victory. They were the invisible army. Kaiser steps away. Henry Kaiser moves on. He builds hospitals. He builds companies. He builds systems. He never claims to have won the war. He simply says, "We solved a problem." But it was the right problem. At the right time. In the right way. The question that lingers. Historians ask it quietly. What if America had tried to fight the U-boat war ship by ship? What if it had focused only on sinking submarines? What if it had never changed how ships were built? The answer is unsettling. The war would have lasted longer. Many more would have died. The shortcut that became a strategy. Kaiser's shortcut was never really a shortcut. It was a new road. One that bypassed tradition, ignored pride, and focused only on outcomes. And that road leads directly into the modern world. The final section of this story brings us back to the Atlantic and explains why Germany never recovered from the moment it lost the numbers game forever. Atlantic Ocean, 1945. Empty horizons. The sea looks the same as it always has. Grey, endless, indifferent. But it is no longer Germany's weapon. The Atlantic after the storm. When Allied ships sail the Atlantic in the final months of the war, there is a strange quiet to it. Convoys still form. Escorts still circle. Radar still sweeps the water. But the fear is gone. U-boats are rare now. When they appear, they are hunted mercilessly. Many never return. Others surrender, surfacing beneath white flags, crews exhausted and defeated. The ocean that once devoured ships has been tamed. Not by firepower alone, but by math. Germany's final reckoning. In captured German naval archives, Allied officers read the reports. The tone changes sharply after 1943. Early confidence. Then confusion. Then frustration. Then resignation. One late war German analysis states bluntly, "Enemy ship construction exceeds all sinking capacity." That single sentence explains the entire Battle of the Atlantic. Germany did not lose because its submarines stopped working. They lost because their enemy stopped caring if ships were sunk. Why the shortcut worked. Henry Kaiser's revolution did something no weapon could. It removed fear from decision-making. When ships are scarce, every loss matters. When ships are endless, losses become noise. This changes everything. Allied commanders plan boldly. Routes shorten. Cargo increases. Operations accelerate. The war moves faster because supply never hesitates. Germany cannot react to this. You cannot torpedo an assembly line. A war won without a single battle. There is no decisive naval engagement that ends the U-boat war. No single explosion. No dramatic surrender at sea. It simply fades. The submarines run out of targets that matter. And that is the most brutal defeat of all. The invisible victory. When people remember World War II, they remember Normandy. Stalingrad, Midway, Berlin. They rarely remember shipyards. But without those yards, none of those battles are possible. The Liberty ship never fired a shot in anger, and yet it carried the war on its deck. The civilian who changed warfare, Henry J. Kaiser, never commanded troops. He never gave battlefield orders, but he solved the problem no general could. How do you move a continent's worth of war across an ocean faster than an enemy can destroy it? You change the rules. You stop thinking in terms of ships and start thinking in terms of systems. The lasting lesson: modern wars are not won by brilliance alone. They are won by endurance, by logistics, by scale, by the ability to replace loss faster than the enemy can cause it. This lesson echoes through every modern conflict, every supply chain, every factory, every logistics hub. All of it traces back to one wartime realization. The final irony: Germany believed submarines would starve the Allies. Instead, they forced America to build faster than anyone in history ever had. In trying to destroy ships, Germany created an enemy that could not be exhausted. And once that happened, the war was already over. Closing. The Atlantic did not decide the war with a single battle. It decided it with repetition. Ship after ship, day after day, until Germany could no longer keep up. One civilian's shortcut turned the ocean into a highway, and that highway carried the world into a new age of warfare.